Hello and welcome to my January 2023 manga haul, the first one of the year for 2023, and Bowen's here as usual with a caterpillar. Anyway, before I get into the haul, there is something I need to address, and that is I've been having issues with my comment section as they keep turning themselves off. Every time I publish a video, I always make sure to click to allow all comments and that the video is not made for kids. So it should allow comments, and then I upload the video, comments are on. 5 minutes later, they've turned off, and I have no idea why. So I turn them back on, then they turn off again, and then I turn them back on, and this can happen up to 3 times. And I don't know why it's doing it. So I've tried Googling it. It didn't really give me any help. So if you ever see my comments turned off on a video, just know it's not me that has done it. It's YouTube doing it itself, and I don't know why. If anybody knows why this is happening and knows how to fix it, could you please let me know so I can get it sorted? And if you do ever notice that they're turned off, you could DM me on Instagram. There's a link on my channel. And then I might be like, your comments are turned off, and then I'll be like, okay, and I'll go turn them back on. They're just letting you know that it's not me who's turning the comments off. Anyway, now that that's out the way, we can now get into the haul. Yup. You move you out of the way. Don't. Okay, first up I have a couple of Blu-rays here. The first one being Violet Evergarden, Eternity and the Auto Memory Doll. This is the side story movie to Violet Evergarden. I mentioned before that I would be getting this, I think it was last month, because I didn't want to pay the price that they were charging for the collector's edition of this, and they recently released it in a regular edition. It took about a year after the collector's edition for it to come out. So, I picked it up now that the regular edition's out. I have seen this film. It is very good. Obviously, if you like Violet Evergarden, this needs to be watched after the main series, but before the movie. Yeah, it is good. And next up, I had this on pre-order for ages and it kept getting pushed back, but it finally came out. And that's Love Me, Love Me Not. This is the film. I haven't watched this one yet, but this is the collector's edition. It's the only edition available right now, but I really like the manga for Love Me, Love Me Not, and when I saw the film was finally getting a UK release, I decided to get it. It came with some extras. It came with some art cards, a art book, and that's the information, and a poster as well, which I have already put up there on the wall. That I am looking forward to giving this film a watch and seeing how it compares with the manga. I just haven't yet gotten around to it, which is me with a lot of series. I'm kind of good at keeping up to date with reading, but when it comes to watching stuff, I fall behind very easily. Anyway, now to get into the main event of the manga. And first up I have this stack here, and this is Daytime Shooting Star Volumes 1 to 12. This is the complete set. Now, I saw someone selling this on eBay for less than retail price, and I knew that I wanted to read the series because this is by Mika Yamamori, who also did In the Clear Moonlight Dusk, In the Clear Moonlight Dusk, not Disc, and Tsubaki Charoni Planet, and I liked both of those series quite a bit. So I knew I wanted to start this series at some point, so when I saw it for less than retail, I decided to grab it. So here's volume 1. And this series is about this girl here. I can't remember her name, obviously, because I'm terrible at that. What is her name? Her parents have to go abroad for work, and she ends up moving from the country to Tokyo to live with her uncle, and then she starts to go to school there, and she ends up running into this guy, and he then turns out to be her teacher. And then there's also this guy who was her classmate. So yeah, I thought I would give it a go because Suzume, that's her name, it's right up there. I decided to give it a go because, as I said, I liked Mika Yamamori's other mangas. So that's volume 2. I'll just put them there. Volume 3. Volume 4. And just realised I forgot to open them, but yeah. It's volume 4. Volume 5. These have such nice spines. I like the font on these spines. They're nice. This is volume 6. Covers are nice too. Volume 7. Volume 8. Volume 9. Volume 10. And 11. And 12, which kind of looks similar to the cover of volume 1, only a bit different. So yeah, that's the first pile out the way. Daytime Shooting Star. Looking forward to starting that at some point, although I am still making my way through Red River and Inobaka at the minute, so I might wait until I at least finish one of those series before I start with this one. Next up, I have The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 12. This is the side stories of The Girl from the Other Side. Like, the main story finished in the previous volume. This is just like side stories of their everyday lives. I think there's about 6 stories in here. Each one taking up place at like different points of the main series. Like, each story takes place further along than the last did. So yeah, these are just like cute slice of life moments between Teacher and Shiva during their time together. Yeah, it was good. Next up, I have The Pet Detective Agency. This is a one-shot, and this was okay. This was just okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't particularly excellent either. We have 2 people working in this detective agency. I read this 2 days ago, and I cannot remember either of their names. Nakamura and Fumika. That's Fumika. Fumika's the boss, and then like Nakamura's his assistant, but Nakamura has a thing for him, and he keeps trying to like kiss him and stuff, and he keeps denying him. Anyway, it's mainly like episodic chapters apart from the last 2, which follow on from each other, about solving different cases and stuff. Some involving lost pets, some involving lost people, some involving a other fit stuff. But yeah, this was just okay. Decent enough, but not fantastic. Next up, I have Volume 2 of Love Nest. Now, I haven't read this one yet, and I also can't open this one. But I really love the first volume of Love Nest. It's the follow-on from Change World, and it's about this guy, and he has recently moved into one of his friend's apartments to get away from his noisy neighbours, and he finds out that this guy here is also living in the apartment, and he's like a recent divorcee. He's recently left his wife, or his wife died. I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, the 2 of them start living together and then kind of growing closer, and I really love the first volume, so I'm looking forward to giving this one a go. Next up, I have a one-shot called Love for Dessert. Now, I found this on eBay, and I saw that it was by a publisher called Love Press, and I'd never heard of this publisher before, and that intrigued me, and this was only like £5, so I decided to pick it up and see what it's like. And then I kind of did some research on this publisher, and I've got some notes written down over here. It's owned by the publishing company Aurora Publishing, which was founded in 2006, and then the Love Press imprint is an imprint they created to publish like Josei under, and that was established in 2008. And they also, the same publishing company, Aurora Press, they have like 3 imprints. They have Love Press, they have Aurora, which they publish shoujo under, and then they have a BL imprint, which I actually have a couple of volumes from here. It's called Dukes, I can't pronounce that, but yeah, Dukes Press. And this is the BL imprint that they also have. And so this imprint was established in 2008, but the whole company folded in 2010, so this imprint actually only lasted for 2 years, and they only published 6 volumes of manga in that time, this being one of them. Another couple are shown in the back here. So we have Pretty Poison and Make Love and Peace, and then there's like a little bit of like information on the publisher there. Yeah, I found that interesting, as I've never ever seen this publisher before. I tried looking for some of the other titles on eBay, but this was the only one that I could find, at least in the UK anyway. So it'll be kind of interesting to try and track down their other titles. I do have a list of them over here. So we have Love for Dessert, Make Love and Peace, Pretty Poison, Real Love, Sounds of Love, and Voices of Love are the only 6 but that were ever published under this imprint. I think the BL imprint actually published quite a few more though. So yeah, this is just a collection of short, smutty josei stories. I'm yet to read it. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I'll give it a try. Next up, I have Mint Chocolate Volume 6. I have read this one. This is same old Mint Chocolate. I enjoy it. Not everyone will. It's step siblings, but I don't mind as long as they didn't grow up together and were raised together as siblings, but these two weren't. They became step siblings in high school when they were already teenagers. They didn't ever think of each other as siblings before that point, and therefore I'm okay with it. Yeah, I do enjoy Mint Chocolate. And this is volume 6. It has actually been a while since we got a previous volume of this, so the releases are quite slow, at least at the minute. Next I have Love and Heart Volume 6. I haven't read this one yet, but I like Love and Heart. It's like very stalkerish. When we have he suddenly shows up at her door claiming to be her childhood friend, and then weird stuff starts happening, and he's behind it, and he's very messed up, and yeah, it's a good horror psychological romance series that I would recommend if you like that stuff. Next up, I have From the Red Fog Volume 3. Again, I yet to read this one, but I liked Volumes 1 and 2. We follow this kid here. He is called Rwanda. And this takes place in London in I think the Victorian era. I'm not great with history. And he is the son of a serial killer, and his mother would lock him in the basement and bring him her victims for him to cut up and stuff. So he grew up basically helping his mother with her murder victims and not being allowed to leave the cellar he was locked up in. But then his mother ends up getting killed and he escapes, and he kind of goes around, but he's really messed up because of his childhood, and he's also starting to become a bit of a serial killer. He's also joined this organization with assassins and stuff, and it's very good. Next up, I have The King's Beast Volume 8. I have read this one. I read this one not long ago. I really like The King's Beast, and this volume, although not quite as good as Volume 7, it was still very good. Excellent volume, and I can't wait to get the next one because this one ended on a cliffhanger. I'm used to cliffhangers, but something's wrong with us, but now this one's giving me cliffhangers as well. Yeah, The King's Beast is very great. It's a fantasy shoujo series that's set in the same universe as Dawn of the Arcana. Dawn of the Arcana is also brilliant. So if you like your fantasy shoujo series, this is another very good one. Next I have Volume 1 of Rainbow Days. I haven't read this one yet, but this is a new release from Viz. And I know it follows, I think, 4 high school boys and their relationships, from what I remember. I know there's an anime, but I haven't seen it. Why won't you focus on the words? Okay, my camera's not focusing on the words. I don't know whether it's dirty or not. I'll give it a bit of a rub. No, it's still not doing it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it follows 4 high school boys who are friends and like their different personalities and relationships and stuff. I will probably read it soon. Mao Volume 8. I am yet to read this, but I really like Mao. It's Rumiko Takahashi's new one. It's a bit like Inuyasha, only we have, instead of being in like the Warring States period, it's in the like, I think the Taisho era, early 20th century. And we follow Mao, who is an exorcist, and we have Nanaka, who goes back in time to 20th century Japan through a gateway into like a shopping street. She meets up with Mao, and there's demons and exorcists and a plot that happened like years ago that they're still trying to get the answers to, and it's very good if you like Inuyasha. This is good too. Next up is one of my favourites. That's Lovesick Eri Volume 7. I haven't read this volume yet, but I love Lovesick Eri, and it's very good. It's a great comedy shoujo romance series. And this cover seems to have some like strange marks on it, but I don't know. They look like pen, kind of. Maybe the ink ran. I'm not sure. But yeah, Lovesick Eri's great. Especially Eri. I love Eri. She's great. Next, it's Something's Wrong With Us Volume 12, and once again, this manga. I need more of it now. It's so good. The cliffhanger in this one wasn't quite as cliffhangery as we had in the past. But yeah, I need more of this series. We're getting clues as to what might have happened and who might have done it, and we found out something in this volume about one of the characters, and this series is just so good. This is why we need more josei. This is a prime example of why we need more josei. This series is excellent. Love this series. It's fantastic. Next, I have Beauty and the Beast of Paradise Lost, Volume 5? 5. This is the final volume. I haven't read it yet. This is Karuyuki's. Like, Karuyuki's like the queen of gothic horror shoujo series. So we have... It's like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. We have Belle. And Belle is... there's this person going around, and they think it's there's a beast, and he's said to go around and steal people's faces. And Belle and her mother are in the forest one day when this beast attacks. Her mother gets her face stolen. Belle goes to live with her father. Her father doesn't treat her that great. Then she hears rumours of like the beast's castle, and she goes there to try and confront him and find out that the beast in the castle isn't the same beast who stole her mother's face. And yeah, it's a good series, and also Karuyuki has very good art too. It's like very gothic. Yeah, I do enjoy this series, but I haven't read this final volume yet. I had heard that the ending is kind of rushed, so I don't know what that's going to be like, but this is one of her only series that I've read. The other one I read the first volume of the Grand Green Orchestra, and I really liked that one, but I haven't been able to find the rest. And I read the first 2 volumes of Demon from Afar, really liked Volume 1, and then Volume 2 just went downhill, and I dropped that series. Anyway, next I have Game Between the Suits Volume 2. This is like my favourite steamship title that's come out so far. We follow these two office workers, and she can't stay in a relationship very long because all of her partners keep leaving her because she's too busy being married to her job. Even during sex, she will answer work calls, and they just don't like that. Though she doesn't think she'll ever enter into any long-term relationships because of this. And then she meets this guy who's new at the company, and he is kind of agrees to enter into a sort of fake dating sort of bargain with her, where they're trying to make them fall for each other and stuff like that, but they're kind of also just playing with each other, and I really like it. I think it's good. Looking forward to the new one out this year, the Verness and the Demon Knight, I think it's called. I've heard that one's really good. Next I have Fruits Basket Another Volume 4, the final volume of Fruits Basket Another. We finally got this in print. This contains the final chapter of Fruits Basket Another plus the Three Musketeers arc, which takes place after during the final volume of the original series, but you need to have read the original series to read the Three Musketeers arc, because there will be spoilers in it. It doesn't take place after it's ended, it takes more place during the final volume. Yeah, we have the final chapter of Fruits Basket Another, we have the Three Musketeers arc, and then there's some short stories that were written for the anime when it came out. It's they're only a few pages long. Yeah, I haven't read this yet, surprisingly, since I'm obsessed with Fruits Basket, but I will probably read this soon. Fruits Basket Another's good, but it's nothing compared to the main series. Although I do like seeing all their children and stuff and what they get up to, and looking forward to the Three Musketeers arc, which is Shigure, Ayame, and Hattori, and their banter with each other and stuff. Next I have Karun Generic Romance Volume 2. I haven't read this one yet. Surprisingly, I haven't read a lot yet this month, apparently. So, I really like Volume 1 and the way that's ended. I was like, I need to know what happens in the next volume now. So we have, it's like a sci-fi where it takes place in Kowloon Walled City, which was an actual place, but I think it got torn down in I think 1996, possibly 1994. I did look it up, but I forgot. And there's it's a sci-fi, there's this floaty planet thing in the sky, and we have her who works at a real estate agency with her colleague, and she fancies her colleague, and they this guy, her colleague. Yeah, it's a romance sci-fi slice of life with a weird twist at the end of Volume 1, and I'm going to enjoy reading this second volume and finding out more about this world and stuff. Next I have For the Kid I Saw in My Dreams Volume 9. I think this series must be coming to an end soon. It seems to be winding down slightly, but this is not the final volume. But yeah, this is Kei Sanabe, who wrote Erased. This is a series about Senri. Is it Senri? Is that his name? Or is that his twin? Yeah, it's Senri. Kazuto's the twin. It's Senri and Kazuto. When they were little, they had an abusive father who would often abuse their mother, and one day they play rock, paper, scissors to decide who's going to go calm the father down. Senri loses and has to hide, and then Kazuto wins, and he goes into the room afterwards and finds both his father and his mother dead, and Kazuto missing as well, supposedly dead too. Anyway, he is then taken to an orphanage, and they find out about this guy called the Fireman who has like this scar on his arm, because he and Kazuto like have shared vision. When one of them's in pain, they can see through each other's eyes, so he's kind of saw through Kazuto's eyes whilst this murder was going on, this mark on this guy's arm who he calls the Fireman, and now he's trying to track down this Fireman and get revenge against him for what happened to his brother. And a lot of stuff happens and stuff comes to light, and it's a good series. If you like mystery, like suspense series, you would probably like this. And then we have the last manga. There's 2 more, but the last one's not a manga. I Think Our Son is Gay Volume 4. This is a very sweet series about a mother who realises that her son is possibly gay, but he's not ready to come out about it yet. So she's trying to be supportive with him without kind of slipping up that she knows. But he keeps slipping up and accidentally saying things that kind of like lets on that he is gay, but the mother's trying to just be like pretending she doesn't realise and just be supportive of him. And it's a very nice, sweet series, and I don't think it's going on for much longer. I think it ended recently. I can't remember how many volumes, 5 or 6, I think. But yeah, this is a very nice series that I would recommend. And lastly is not a manga. This is volume 1 of Let's Play. This is a webtoon. I think it's American. I'm not 100% sure though. And this is, I remember seeing this advertised on YouTube like years ago when the webtoons first started, and I thought, oh, that looks interesting, but I didn't read webtoons. I don't really like reading digital. So I was like, kind of forgot about it, but then I saw this announced and I was like, oh, that's that webtoon I remember liking the look of back all those years ago. So I decided to give it a go, especially since Amazon had the hardback edition on sale. It was actually cheaper than the paperback. This follows a girl called Sam, and she's in college and she's just achieved her dream of making video games. She's made her first video game. She's published online. She's getting quite a few good reviews for it, but then this YouTuber, or VTuber as it's called, I think his name is Mitchell, something like that. And he praised her game on a live stream, and he gives it a bad review, and then everyone starts to like review bomb her game, and her like score completely drops. And then she also finds out that he is a new neighbour and he's just moved in next door. So yeah, I thought it sounded quite interesting. And like, not the biggest fan of the like webtoon like layouts and like art and stuff, but I thought the story to this one sounded interesting and I wanted to give it a go. I haven't read it yet. Anyway, that's it for this haul. I hope you enjoyed, and as I say, if you know what's up with my comment section, could you please let me know? And if you see that they're turned off and you want to leave a comment, then just DM me on Instagram and I'll turn them back on. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you for another one when I do one, and goodbye, and Rowan.